Hello everyone, this is Nancy, the Kentucky Garden Gal, and we are going to do a mid-June tour this morning. I garden in a Zone 7. Those of you who have watched my channel know that I have been gardening at this garden for 30 years. That's how long I have lived in this house. We'll let the big trucks go by. My garden style is definitely cottage, and by that it is different layers and different colors. I usually have taller things in the back, shorter things in the front. And I think of a cottage garden, I think of the English gardens, which have a lot of roses. And as you can see, I have different structures in my garden that I am trying to get roses to grow on. They just haven't gotten their way up there yet. But you will have roses on trellises. You will have lots of things like foxglove, biennial plants, hollyhocks. In the spring, you're going to have tulips and daffodils and Lenten roses or the hellebores, things like that. And then you have things for your fall color, but then your base is your winter structure, which are your evergreens. So as you can see, I have a row of, now we say arboretivite. Miss Joyce in Utah says arborvitae, I believe, but we're Southern, so we get as many syllables in there as we can. But this is also what you would call a four-season garden. So I have something of interest in my garden year-round. And another purpose of my garden is that I use my garden for decorations. Everything that is in my garden, I try to make it useful, whether it's a bouquet in the summer, spring, summer, and fall, and then in the winter I use my evergreens to be able to make Christmas decorations, arrangements for the outside and for the inside. So I will tell you that I have been on vacation. I got in yesterday, and the only thing I have gotten done, I did get the grass mowed. There's not been any weed eating done. I'm watering. You'll see the sprinkler system as we walk around today, but that's just how it goes. My garden it's never picture perfect, but I will tell you it is perfect for me because it brings me joy and I love it. So to me, it's appealing to my eyes. Now, it may not be appealing to everybody, but your garden should be very personal and it should make you happy. So with all that being said, let's jump into the tour. You're looking at a Rose of Sharon that is in bloom. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and these were what we call a pass-along plant. Actually, there's another one, 5. Which means that a friend of mine had some sprouts and I just pulled it up and planted it, and right there is a perfect example. That was about the size of these plants when I planted these. So I do need to come out and get those pulled up, and if anybody wants them, of course, they're more than welcome to them. So back here in this corner, I mainly have, this is my butterfly bush here, and I really enjoy that because right beyond this fence is a pollinator garden, and that bush really draws in the butterflies and the bees. It's just amazing. It's like they find that and then they skip over the fence. But I wanted to show you, many of you saw me plant the Dolly Parton rose garden. Well, you know how good intentions go. So this is maybe 3 weeks old. I did not get in here and get my plastic down mulch, and due to a little thing called photosynthesis, look, if there is sunlight, there's going to be weeds. So now I have to get in here and completely weed this thing and start over, all because I didn't make time to do what I should have done. But look how gorgeous these are. These are really starting to bloom again. And I just think they're doing really good. So in this bed, I have the Dolly Parton roses. I have three things of lavender, which, there's my shadow, is covered over in weeds right now, but this is going to be a very fragrant garden. And then, of course, I have the clematises that I picked up on clearance. But I am going to plant giant alliums and look at all the buds on this. Shadow. Look at all the buds on this one rose. But the only thing left that I want to add in here is the giant alliums, like I said, and I just think that roses and alliums in late spring are just so beautiful. So we'll skip on going around to the porch. This is the oak leaf hydrangea that I showed you in the last video. Look at the color change already. Look at the color change. This, I think, is one of the plants that, you know, it's just a must in your garden because it really has a lot of interest. All 3 seasons. I think you can get 3 seasons out of this plant. I did start planting flowers along the sidewalk this year, and we have a glad getting ready to just burst open and bloom. We'll go up on the front porch real quick, and I have to give credit to my dear sister. She not only took Lucy home with her, she came over and kept all of my plants alive, took care of the chickens, and took care of the bunnies. And we have a surprise at the end of this video. But this is our front porch, and this is north facing, and I've now my roof is green. I have a white house with a green roof, so I like sage green up here, and you can do a lot. It seems like excuse me, sage green and off-white really soften up you know, your vignette, if you have a sitting area, whatever, things like that. And I also, I'm a big thrifter, and I found these lovely lanterns with these huge candles in them for $10 a piece at Goodwill. So as I see things like that, I will point it out. And then going around, the daylilies are beginning to open up. The hydrangeas, those are starting to open up. I have one in the back that is just beautiful. This sedum back here, and you'll see I have a sprinkler going. I'm just going to slowly water. I'll probably move my sprinkler about every 15 or 20 minutes, but we don't have any rain in the forecast, and I want to give everything just a really good drink. But my gardens are often described as being very lush, and I would agree with that, because right now, you know, we're in the prime of this garden. From now to about a month and a half is going to be in its prime. It's going to have flowers just everywhere blooming, and everything that you see here I planted all of this. Most of it came off of the clearance rack at Lowe's or from friends, but I learned pretty quickly when I started gardening how to divide plants, and how to, if a friend has something and they give me a piece of it, I have figured out how to get those things to grow. That has really saved me a lot of money. Now this is the gazebo, and I added this probably maybe 5 years ago. It hadn't been here that long, but it's just a wonderful area. It's very cozy. I love to come out, sit in the morning, have my coffee. Cameron and I oftentimes will just come out and sit here, and we have roses that have started. I've got one long rose right here, and this will eventually be growing up this gazebo. So I have added, I think in the last year, I have added about 14 rose bushes. And let me tell you, if you are wanting quality rose bushes, that is not a cheap project. But I'm so grateful for how things are turning out. Have another little bloom coming on here. This is all their first years. So, you know, in 2 more years, these roses will just be standing out and they will just be wonderful. So we'll walk on around to the east side, which is pretty shaded. And I like to tuck things in. I picked up this wire basket. I found it in an architectural salvage shop in Fairhope, Alabama when I was on vacation. I actually have 2 of them. There's another one around in the back with a fairy garden. But I just like to tuck these in. The squirrels, I do have a problem with the squirrels coming in and getting into these. But this is a plant that I often talk about. This is a night blooming cereus. It loves to be hanging in a tree in dapple shade. And this is the flower that will have one bloom. Now it can have multiple blooms, but it will bloom one time for one night, and it's just absolutely, it smells so good. And if you have watched the movie Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, set in Savannah, then you recognize Bird Girl, the statue, and I planted her with hostas. There are some ferns. A friend of mine gave me Solomon's seal right back there. These are all pass-along plants. This snowball hydrangea was one of the things that was here when we bought the house. So this is a very old shrub, and I do cut it back, so this is about the size that I want it to stay. I did dig up another oak leaf hydrangea, bring that back here, and this is the burning bush, which in the late fall, if it has enough sun, it will turn a really pretty bright red. But you know, this is kind of our back deck, and that really gives us a lot of shade and a lot of privacy right here. So my dad, who's now passed, he built this deck for me and just really turned a space that wasn't very usable into something that we just use all the time. Now, I mentioned thrifting earlier. This was another thrift find that I picked up. This birdhouse, I believe it was $9. So I really enjoyed that. And just some plants around here. This goes around. I put this path in myself. If you walk around, this goes directly to the back door. This is how, if we're going to grill or whatever, that we go back and forth. I wanted to show you some things in here. This is just an old wheelbarrow that a friend gave me, and I do seasonal things in there. There's also a lot of bulbs, a lot of tulip bulbs in there. There again, there's Solomon seal and hostas, and let's see, those are irises back here. There's a dahlia right there that I bought. Hopefully will do well. But we cut down a tree this year. So this was previously a pretty shaded area, and now all of these plants have more sun, like definitely more sun than the hostas enjoy, the Solomon seal enjoy, But I do have things that I have planted. I did put this arbor in that I'm going to grow flowers on. So that'll provide some shade. There is an acer there that, because of the other tree, really didn't grow that much. So I think that it will probably, I think it's going to do a lot better and then eventually have more shade in here. So this, as you can see, the path is getting pretty narrow. And you know what? I like it like that. And I'll say this over and over and over again. You have your garden the way you like it. If you enjoy it, you're the only person that matters. Now, of course, I want to share my garden. I'm sure there's people that come over and they're like, oh my gosh, you've got way too much stuff in there. Not for me, and not for the pollinators, not for the birds. This is what I like. So going back, we go in the back door here. Now this year, I added these vertical growers from Greenstock, and I've really been impressed with those. We have had a lettuce. We've had a salad bed right there. I do have some marigolds that I started from seed that I'm going to come in and add. And there goes our train blowing its whistle. But this is the second one that I brought, and I've added, there is squash and peppers and tomatoes. And you can buy these supports that come out here. So I'll kind of see how things go, and if I need to buy some supports, which I think I probably will, I'll do that. But if you have a small space, or like me, you want something right at your back door, these are perfect. These are just perfect for that. This is another burning bush that I put in. All of these trees that you see, the crepe myrtles, I put these in. And I want to show you, like I said, boy, the weeds, they knew I was on vacation. But look at this glad. Is that not stunning? Is that not just stunning? And there were peonies in here, there's foxgloves in here. Now hopefully these are going to reseed themselves and we'll have even more next year. We have lilies that are getting ready to bloom. There is a good fig shrub that has the best, it's a brown turkey fig, and it is just delicious. And I did successfully propagate several of those that I'll be taking to our farm in East Tennessee this fall. And then the poppies are still growing strong. This was my first year for poppies, and basically I threw them out in January on frozen ground, and that is what we have. We have some coneflowers in here, there's some bellflowers down there. And on this side, this is a bed that has been taken over by daylilies, and they have reverted back to their original, I believe these were all yellow when I bought them, but they have reverted back to their original plant. So this is a little area, and I show you all the good, the bad, and the ugly. There is literally a weed taller than a flower right there that I need to go in there and pull before it seeds. But, there's only so many hours in a day, and this will get taken care of today. But I have fruit trees in here. This was previously a koi pond, and I had to fill it in because I just wasn't physically able to take care of it. But you still see the banana trees, the grass. I like the tall grasses in my gardens because when it rains, that gives the butterflies a safe place to go. So I really, I have taken out some grasses, but I still have plenty left. Now, that is the butterfly bush right there that I pointed out when we were on the other side of this fence. And I am telling you, the pollinators, the butterflies, will just come in, and then once they find that, then they jump over here and they're like, woohoo, buffet. But I'm so proud. I have struggled as a gardener. I have struggled more, I think, with biennials than I have with anything. And those are plants that the first year they will have they'll have foliage, and then the second year they have a bloom. And you just have to be on the right planting schedule for your zone. That is what I have figured out. So I sow seeds twice a year. I sow them in the summer, and then I sow them in winter. And that way, that is the only way I have come up with a way to have flowers. But I love this little corner right here. It's very cottagey. You've got your hydrangea there, you've got your hollyhocks, your foxglove, your gladiolas. This is Russian sage, which gets absolutely beautiful. It looks so pretty with this hydrangea. And then coming on around, there's just plenty of echinacea or coneflowers. Of course, more daylilies. Lots of roses back here. But this is an area that I had it as a secret garden at one time in a vole, either a vole or a mole, not sure which one, but it came in and it destroyed this garden. So I really just had to start over from scratch, and it just tore everything up. So we can really have those pests. This is the back of the koi garden, and the way I like to do my garden is I want paths to lead somewhere. So you can see that's a pretty well-traveled path right there. But this goes back to a more, I guess you would call it, it's more of a utility part of the garden, because I have my apple trees back here, I have my pawpaw trees, I have the bunnies, I have the chickens, I have the herb garden. But let's take just a minute and peek in on the babies. Aren't those sweet? I hope I'm getting a good shot of those. So sweet. I was out earlier and they were just stretching. So sweet. So there's our baby bunnies. And then back here, like I said, there's our apple tree. It is just hanging full. We've got pawpaw trees over there. We have fruit trees actually growing in here. And then look at our blackberries. Oh my goodness, they are going to be so good this year. And they are just, they seem to love that spot, so they're just growing like crazy. This is an area with raised beds, of course daylilies. I had carrots in there. I'm just about at the end of those, so I'll either sow more carrots for the bunnies, or not sure what I'll plant in there. But you see some stuff bolting back there because it's getting so hot. This is my cut flower garden. You see the cleone is blooming well. This is a mold plant that volunteered itself and did not help with my mold problem whatsoever, but that's the way it goes. So this is, like I said, this is the cutting garden. This is what I would call a failure, because I planted tons of seeds in here. I don't know if I didn't water these correctly. I'm not sure what happened, but this area over here did fairly well. This has to be redone. So in the next couple of days, I'll just get in here, till this back up, and resow this. I still have plenty of time, and it's absolutely, it's no big deal. So you will notice that I grow herbs in tubs. And if you've ever grown herbs, you know that some can be terribly invasive and just spread and take over. Chives is a good example right there. Mint is another good example. But I pick up these tubs, I think they're 17 gallon from Walmart, $6, $7. These things have been here for at least 10 or 15 years. I mean, they don't look the greatest. I could paint them, I suppose. But like I said, this isn't an area that, it's not the prettiest. It's for a purpose. There's the chicken coop. I can go say hello to the girls and see what they're doing. Hello, ladies. Hello, ladies. What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Are you staying good and cool? Are you staying good and cool? It's about that time that I start freezing. I buy cans of corn and put it in ice trays and bring that out, and then it cools off the chickens. They have a fun time with the melting water, and then the treat is the corn. So these are the ladies that give us all the fresh eggs, and they are just sweet, sweet girls. Sweet, sweet girls. So like I said, going back to this little garden, this was my first ever raised bed. I did this all by myself. Obviously, I didn't own a level at the time that I did it, but you know what? It serves a purpose. And I just couldn't tell you everything that I've grown in here. And I got to the point where I was having a lot of trouble getting, like I told you earlier in the video, the biannuals to grow. So this is actually where I got my foxglove to start, and then I transferred them to different parts of my garden. And right now, you see that the liatris, which the bees just love. The liatris is coming in, the glads are coming in, and this is just a great area that I can start flowers in here, and then I can transfer it to other parts of my garden. And then this is just a little setting area because I have to take lots of breaks when I'm out gardening. This is a shade bed that I started, a pretty lily in there, but as you can see, the Creepin' Charlie has just really loves that. This is kiwi, and apparently I either have 2 females or 2 males because it grows wonderfully but has never produced any fruit. So I've got to figure that out. Let's see what else there is. I can show you. I'm working on tons of projects. This is my little greenhouse from Harbor Freight, and at this time of the year it really is just good for storage because it's so hot in there. It's really not that useful, but it's a good place to keep all of my trays and things like that. This is a project that I'm working on back here. I have part of a gazebo put together, and this is going to have a roof over it, and then once I get the roof over this is where my potting bench will be, which I currently have under my carport. This was a little temporary greenhouse that I put up. I think I bought it. I got a really good price on it, but I brought everything out that I need to sow. Now these are the figs that I mentioned earlier. These are just doing great. I've got some other stuff I need to get in the ground, so have to find a home for all of this. Look at the bees. Look at that. sweet. To me, this is why I garden. This is why I garden, to have a place, a home for the bees and the butterflies and the birds and all the things that depend on us when we really depend on them. But I just think that is so sweet. So these are daylilies that I planted here. And in fact, I planted these, everything that you see I've planted. And like I said, I always want evergreens in my garden for structure, for winter interest, and to use to decorate at Christmas time. This is the daddy of the baby bunnies, so we had to separate him, and he's in under the carport. And gosh, I think now this is my junk area. This is where I could clean this 5 times a day and it still is going to look just like this. And I brought a lot of things back from the farm. My son is working on this 4-wheeler. We couldn't get anybody to work on it there. We brought home the lawnmower to work on. So all of this stuff will be cleaned off, hopefully by the end of the summer. But we'll just take one last look around at some of the flowers going a different way. And then you go right down the driveway. There's the pergola, and of course there's the front of the house. But I hope that you have enjoyed this garden tour. I hope it's encouraged you, given you some ideas. And if you have any questions, just drop them down below in the comments and I will try my very best to answer them. But I hope that everyone has a beautiful day, and we will see you in the next video.